Hello and welcome back to another speed build with Frimlin, and this time I am intending to make a rather small but beautiful little manor house, and I think I originally wanted to make it some kind of starter budget affair, but changed my mind as the build went on, as you'll see. So a lot of this is very similar actually to my previous build in terms of the exterior design, but on a much smaller scale. Really hate doing those roofs. I took ages trying to get it just right, but it was wrong in some way. There's always like a little line. I'm not sure if that's just my inexperience with making this type of roof. Maybe, you know, I just need to get better at it and I won't make those little lines. Or it's just unavoidable in some kind of roof designs to have those little lines. So I'm not sure, but I eventually got past it by making the whole house a bit bigger and more square, as you will see as the speed build progresses. So pretty obsessed with putting that round window in, but it doesn't stay. But I do try and put it back in later. So as I said earlier, I originally intended it to be more like a starter home, but just like a very grand starter home. And I was going to very basically furnish it with, you know, very sparse furnishings. But in the end I decided, nope, I'm not going to do that. And I actually spent a lot larger budget. So it would have been around 18,500 if I'd left it a starter. But the final budget is 80,000. So I was 60,000 above my original intention. Or I spent 4 times the original budget. Luckily this isn't the real world and you can do that kind of thing, right? So quite keen to put a gate in there. But it doesn't stay, it disappears. I don't think you see it in the video. I think I did it in between videos. And in terms of packs I'm using the base game, and I'm using the Vampires game pack, as you can see. Otherwise, I'm only using one other pack, and that's the Romantic Garden Stuff pack, which I've hardly used, really, but I really love, and I should use more often. It starts off with a couple of bedrooms, but it ends up with, I think, 4 bedrooms in total, which is quite a nice number to have. And you can always change one from a bedroom to something else if you prefer. So, trying again to use Vampires game pack stuff inside, but not using too much of it, and I don't want to go for the dark look again. So this is actually the darkest of one of the rooms, actually, or one of the darkest, if not the darkest. And that's about as dark as I get. The rest of the rooms are very light and bright. And I used a different shade of the flooring than I've used before. A lighter polished wood. No stairs up to the roof in this build, so if you want that, go back to Ellesmere Manor. But yeah, you can still build your own stairs up to the roof if that's what you want. Should be quite easy to do. So here I go, moving it a bit so I can make it basically square. That means that I can clone the roof, and it should be a lot easier to make it match, right? Well, actually no, it's a lot better. It's like 99% better, but there is still a little bit of a join between the roofs. But I tried everything, and it seems to be unavoidable. It seems a bit of a shame on you know, a box like you know, a relatively square building that you can't get the roof quite right. But trouble is, I think it probably is fine, and it's only like someone like me that would notice that kind of thing and make a big deal of it. But when you see it now, you can hardly tell that there's a join. So a lot of the choices I make for furnishings and well, for almost everything in this build are with price in mind as well. So I avoid the more expensive stuff. In most cases I go for the cheapest options that are available. Why? Well, because I wanted to make this place affordable. You know, even once I started realizing that I was going to go, you know, heavily over the original budget. If I wanted to do a good build, you know, I had to go over the budget. I just thought I didn't want to make it look all sparse. In this kind of build, I don't think it would have worked. And I know some people put houses on the gallery that are completely empty, and it did cross my mind, probably for the first time ever, with this place. But nope, I filled it up, so yeah, but I think 80,000 is still relatively affordable. Because quite a lot of people play with Sims that don't have like a massive inheritance or haven't built up a lot of cash. A lot of people do challenges and like smaller, cheaper places. So this isn't a starter home. It's still within the price range of families that are, you know, relatively new. I had quite a lot of fun with the Vampires Game Pack wall decorations. Yet again, I'm still loving that ivy. Really glad I expanded the house, because now there's more space to make rooms out of. Wasn't quite sure how I was going to do upstairs, but it kind of fell into place eventually. In most rooms I went through and just put it's called Pure Expressions. It's very, very white. If you can have such a thing as a very white. It's just a very pure white wallpaper, or wall paint maybe. And I've used that before just to make a room look so much brighter, and it goes particularly well with the light coloured flooring. It gives it a much cleaner, modern feeling. But in some rooms I have put in other colour wallpaper. I mean, I did originally kind of intend that the white would be temporary, just to make sure that I focused on making the rooms light. But in many cases, the white wallpaper stayed. It's just so clean and modern. I like it. And it's quite good in a house that when you move into it, if it's more neutral colours like that, because then if you want, you can put your own stamp on a room with your own bright red wallpaper or whatever you want. But it helps to make a house more appealing when you move in, if it's got neutral tones. Well, for many people anyway. So actually I don't keep that wallpaper in there. I decide it's not really suiting the room. And I don't start it here, but eventually I put in lots of vampires game pack lights, and they make everything look very yellow, or gold even. But I changed that near the end, and I made the lights a lot less golden. You know, I think it works in some rooms. I didn't think it worked with this, trying to make it as bright as possible. I've decided that I need to start learning some of the names of the things that I search for a lot. Like I spent, I don't know, a couple of minutes looking for the coat rack today, but if I just searched for rack or coat, I could have found it straight away. But I don't know, it just didn't cross my mind. I think I hadn't had enough coffee yet, or something like that. That's could be my excuse. So, temptation of course to put dormer windows all around on all sides of the roof, but I think it only really looks right at the front and the back. So I cut up that little room that was going to be the master room, and now there's a new master room, which is that big white room which hasn't been furnished yet. I'm just starting in there now. There are those yellow lights coming in. They're quite white once they've had the yellow light turned off. No, they're very stylish little lights. I think I'll probably use them quite a lot. Really wanted to use that floor, but I have issues finding the right room to use that floor in. I mean, I really like it. But to me, it kind of looks like tiling or lino on the floor, but I think it's a carpet. But it doesn't look like a carpet to me. I don't know why. So the lightest shade of vamp deco bathroom stuff. Still very dark in that little corner with the toilet, so I stuck a window in eventually. Not that one, yeah. So this house isn't a contender for my family to move into, but it will definitely be one that I place in my town somewhere. If I find a permanent residence for Ellesmere Manor, my previous build, it might be that I place this next door, you know, so that you can make the little neighbourhood in the same style. That appeals to me, definitely. So using a different shade of the Vamp Deco kitchen counters and cupboards. The cheapest oven there. So if you move into your new manor house or your new chateau, as it's now called a chateau, and you wonder why you've got cheap stuff, it's because I wanted to keep the price down. But yeah, just feel free to put in the most expensive 15,000 simoleon oven if you want. But it wasn't my intention to make the place any more expensive than it should be, to set the tone. Had to make the hallway a little bit thinner to be able to make the dining room work better. I couldn't have the archway going up against the table and chairs, which I haven't even placed yet, so I'm kind of talking about the future. Quite liked making a little television area in front of the window like that. It limits the size of the TV you can use, well, unless you have a big movie hangout TV. But yeah, I quite like it. And you can see I stuck in a little toddler bear chair. There's a few little toddler focused things in this house. I mean, you can't help it after... It's only been like a month or so since Toddlers came out. It's still, you know, really in everyone's minds, including my own. So I went for the largest of the Vamp Deco tables, but in the end I had to slim that down because I placed a fireplace, and you couldn't light the fireplace with the table there. So that table, as beautiful as it looks, has to get slimmed down. But it still fits, I think, 6 Sims, which is still pretty reasonable. So yeah, I stuck a little roof on that, little gabled roof on the front of that protruding bit. I can't think of the proper technical term. And then I'm sticking thorns up on the walls, and I really like how these thorns turned out. If I do say so myself. But yeah, I think I had a bit more success with placing them than I have with the ivy. They just seemed a bit easier to match up and to not make look too false in how they're placed. You can make it look like they're branching out. I think it especially looks like that at that front window in the middle. It's like it's kind of made its way around all the bits of the front of the house, and yeah, I like that kind of wild look. So yeah, sticking a few bits of things into the master bedroom. Well, I was gone to the roof now. Actually, I changed that roof slightly near the end. Just to explain, because I think you'll probably only see it in the screenshots, but I actually changed the colour of that roof to a greeny colour, and it's one I haven't used before, I think, and I think it looks really nice. So yeah, the place isn't filled with detail, and not every space is filled, and that's deliberate. I wanted to make it look quite clean and spacious and ready for people to put their stuff in. But yeah, it's not finished yet, so you can't really see what I'm talking about. But there is still quite a bit of space for expansion at the end. Most rooms have a prominent Vamp Deco item, at least, or a few. Otherwise it's got base game stuff inside. Little touch of red in that room. And then a lot more red. And it's got that little bit of blue that goes with that painting. Never used that combination before, but it works quite well. And then the red roofed doll's house. Some fun stuff for the kids. Bit more decoration in the nursery. Trying to use that carpet, but I think, yeah, I've gone for a more neutral one. Not sure if that stays. So, having a high back chair there, I think kind of divides the room a little, in a way that some chairs don't. Little touch of blue in the kids' room. Actually come up to the end very soon. So, I'm very curious. Have you seen my Let's Plays? What did you think of them? No one said anything. Well, there was a few comments in the first one, but then like the second and third, they've had like no comments. So I don't know if people are just like, oh my gosh, what kind of a crazy Let's Play is this? Because I've never done it before and I don't typically watch Let's Plays. So possibly it could be quite original, I don't know. Or maybe it's just really boring. But no one's exactly been saying, bring more Let's Plays. That's not true, there's been a couple of people, but I think the thing is though, I built up the channel with people that like my speed builds, so I can't be expecting everyone to suddenly like the Let's Plays. So I'm going to continue to do some Let's Plays, but I'll still focus on speed builds, don't you worry, that's why you're here. I think the mix of the cream coloured vamp deco furniture in that bedroom, in the green bedroom I mean, along with the green stuff, it's an unusual mix that I probably wouldn't have gone for at first, but yeah, I think it works. So here's the aforementioned fireplace, bit more vamp deco stuff in there. Trying to avoid having a rubbish bin next to the high chair, but in the end that was actually the best place for the rubbish bin and the high chair. And maybe it's handy having the rubbish bin so close so you could stick all the kids' muck in there. Because if you know what it's like with very young children, they can be quite messy when they're having food. So a tiny little bit of music theme going on in here. But not quite as much as the pipe organ that I placed in that other bedroom, which I didn't even say anything about at the time. So yeah, I felt there was still a bit of stuff that needed to be done in the garden to make it look more complete. So I filled it out a bit with a few more flowers and plants. And a statue. I've never used that massive overgrown rose before. And actually I don't use it here. I take it out because I think it's too big. And it's just not quite the right green, is it? It doesn't match. I'm sure it looks good somewhere else though. So yeah, Ellesmere Manor had two female statues facing each other. This one has just one male statue on his own. So he's like a thinker, but perhaps also a little lonely. That's a bit too close to the bone there. I love those irises. Big irises there. And I've heard people say this recently. You don't need move objects cheat to make things bigger. I read an article I think where someone even said that. I'm like, no, you don't need move objects cheats on to make things bigger. So here's the hallway. And the dining room. The lounge. And another view. The study. And one of the bedrooms, the master bedroom. Another bedroom. Another bedroom. And the kids' room and nursery. And there's a closer view of the nursery. And then here we are from the exterior, at the back. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you come back for another video. Take care and goodbye.